everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Danny Hernandez, Chad Big Bad Johnson, and James Asante. We are finally all together again. We are back here to review the latest episode of AEW Dynamite. First, I want to wish everybody a happy St. Patrick's Week. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am. Let us start at the top of the show, where we got to see the beautiful rebar mitzvah of one Maxwell Jacob Freeman. It was a wonderful celebration, complete with beautiful women and a fine speech by Max. And we're all having a great time doing the hava. And then Jungle Boy's music hits and interrupts it. And that fucking dastardly heel Jungle Boy interrupts this beautiful celebration.
I would very much like to drop this now that we're dealing with MJF. One of these guys is from Long Island. One of these guys isn't. Okay.
He interrupted a religious ceremony.
He kind of saved him because it looked like the guy on MJF's left was going to drop him.
Yeah, they were not doing a great job with the Hava, which just tells me they didn't hire Jewish guys to do this. Anyway, Jungle Boy comes down to the ring, and before he can barely even get a word out, he's interrupted by Sammy Guevara's music. Sammy follows suit and comes to the ring, and before he can speak, Darby Allin's music hits, and we have all four pillars in the ring at the same time. So Max flips the fuck out and asks them what they want, and all three in unison respond, "I want a title match." So after a little bit of commotion, Jungle Boy decides to speak first, and he says that after their match during the pandemic on the pay-per-view, Jungle Boy pretty much got relegated to Dark and Rampage, and that Max has pretty much had everything handed to him ever since, where he hasn't even been on Dark or Elevation or Rampage for that matter. And Jungle Boy has had a scratch and claw from there to get where he is now. Sammy speaks next about his struggles to get to AEW, only to become Jericho's job and bump guy until he eventually became a 3-time TNT champion and was able to move past that, even though he's still with Jericho. Darby goes last, talks about dropping out of film school to become a professional wrestler, saying how he was going to do it as Darby Allin or fail trying as Darby Allin, and that he was never going to leave AEW because that was the place that let him be him. Max finally gets a chance to speak, saying that all three men had help from the old men, and that they've become friends with, and he's never had to check into the daddy daycare home that AEW has been running.
Cody Rhodes.
Well, that's fair. And then after taunting them for a little while longer, MJF tells the trio that they need to leave. And as he's doing that, he mushes Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy then knocks Max over, and Jungle Boy is then attacked by Sammy. So Jungle Boy goes down. Darby then attacks Sammy, and the two of them are going at it until Darby pushes Sammy into Max, who's out on the apron, and he falls through the table containing his bar mitzvah cake, and he just takes the cake straight to the face. So Max is furious. He gets up. He storms off as the other three look at each other and, basically have a stare down. So, Danny, I actually really liked this promo. The great was beginning with MJF, and then we had a really great interaction between the four pillars, which probably isn't, but seems like the first time. And even if it's not, it's the first time where they're all fully established and standing on their own and now having this confrontation for the AEW World Championship.
So it is the first time that all four of them were together because the Four Pillars theme was established, November of 2021, where MJF feuded with Darby, and then he hasn't feuded with the other two since. He was already past any feud with Sammy and the Jericho Appreciation Society or Inner Circle, whatever Jericho faction it was at the time, and on to this. So this was awesome. It was genuinely amazing. I loved this. This was maybe my favorite opening to Dynamite ever. Maybe aside from the Kenny Omega Bryan Danielson match, but I genuinely have to think about it. That's how much I like this. This felt huge. This felt so cool. And I don't know about you guys, but I didn't know this was happening. Like, I did not know that Jungle Boy Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara were going to have, all interrupt him at once, and that was going to be the segment. I wasn't expecting a 4 pillars segment tonight, and I love this. I love that they're leaning into this dynamic, this thing that feels now so well constructed from an MJF promo from a year and a half ago, that it's a thing now. Like, I love the 4 pillars. Like, to me, this was the same thing as if we're gonna get a 4 pillars fatal 4-way. James, if you're gonna eat food, you should probably mute yourself.
Am I really that loud?
But
Am I really?
You're crinkly.
Yeah, you're very crinkly.
It was the bag. It was the bag.
Obviously, we didn't think it was you.
Yeah, you're not physically crinkly.
Yeah. But anyway, if we're gonna have a fatal pillar fatal 4-way, I'm super into that. I already look at it in the same regards as the 4 horsewomen fatal 4-way from NXT, or the shout out to JL for the NXT guy in the group chat. But I look at it as the Shield triple threat. Like, it's that type of match, and the fact that they're giving that to us when no one expected it. I'm just gonna say no one, because I don't believe anyone who said they saw this coming. And the fact that everyone held their own when it easily could have been Max just cutting them all down and embarrassing them. Like, they all stood their ground. Even it was a little weird. It's a little weird they have 3 heels and only 1 face in Darby, but that's why he got the biggest pop of the 4, because he's the biggest star of the 4, aside from MJF, obviously. But he's the biggest star of the other 3 pillars that came out. So he's also the baby face. So we got a bigger pop. That's not fair of me to compare pops when he's the only face, but you know what I mean. But they all cut promos, and that's what worked here, because I've Jungle Boy, to give him credit, this might have been his best promo in AEW. That's literally not saying much. He could have tripped and fallen into a microphone, and that would be his best promo. But this was really good, and it helps that Sammy Guevara did the same thing, because they're both heels, and they both shed that heel skin for the beginning of their promo to say, hey, I might be a heel, but Max, you're a bigger heel, and you're a bigger asshole, and you're the problem. I really liked what Jungle Boy said. I would have saved a lot of it for the babyface and Darby saying it, but like I said, Sammy did the same thing right after, so it's okay. They hyped themselves up. They talked about how they put in the work. I really like what Jungle Boy said, that I was on Dark. Have you ever wrestled on Dark? You've ever wrestled on Elevation? You've never even wrestled on Rampage. Something that's so true, but you don't think about that. Have you ever thought about the fact that MJF never wrestled on Rampage? No. But you've just accepted it because, yeah, of course he wouldn't. He barely wrestles on Dynamite.
Has he ever even appeared on Rampage? Maybe in a pre-tape thing, but I feel like he hasn't.
I don't think he has. I don't
I don't know. None of us watch Rampage.
Yeah, that's true. We can't say for sure.
It's not often enough, yeah.
But if it's to the point where if MJF was on Rampage, the headlines would say it, so we would know. But that was a really good point by Jungle Boy. And Sammy had good points talking about his. I didn't know Sammy was wrestling for 10 years. I thought he was like Max's age or some shit. It happens when you have that young fuckboy face. It's hard to tell how long you've been doing anything. And I love the back and forth that Sammy and Max had about both of their love lives, which are, you can look up to them as wrestlers. Just don't look up to them as human beings. Okay, because they're not the best examples. And this was reminding me of why we all love Sammy so much. And, again, relationship aside, where he is dumb and he is wrong, and I understand why people turned on him, and I don't think you can really defend that. But I like the Sammy that was here, that we got here, that was like, I wasn't supposed to be that guy, but I did it despite that. And that's the Sammy that we got when he first won the TNT title. Remember, we were actually happy when he first won the TNT title. I know that seems hard to believe, but we were happy when he first won it. And it's only the things, and you know what? I've said it before, but I like when he stood up for AEW against assholes like Andrade and shit, which, by the way, I don't want to start this whole conversation with that, but I was thinking about this earlier before I even knew this. We're going to have this awesome Sammy moment, but Andrade hasn't been on TV in months. No one cares. No one misses him. It's not even noteworthy. dude can fucking set a fire backstage, and we would just be like, yeah, whatever, bro, fuck you. But
He's been hurt.
that's what it doesn't matter.
Allegedly.
He wouldn't be doing anything
We've
anyway.
seen the open wound in him.
Whatever, man. Duke has set himself on fire, and no one would care. I mean, him and Cody tried, and that shit didn't work. But
Cody just set himself on fire.
No, but Sammy was so good here, and then Darby getting to be the finisher, and like, you know, we, and by we I don't mean me, but we on this podcast have given Darby a lot of shit about his promos. But I think Chad will, when he talks in a bit, right after me, I assume, will say that Darby held his own here, and this was a good promo by Darby. And Darby showed some personality. One, he did the CM Punk thing, but he sat in the corner, which I like because it's different for his promo. And he got up and he threw shade at the fucking locker room, the real life shit.
Yeah, I love that line. I love that line. I love that bit so much.
Oh, the voice he did it into. I had no idea he was capable of any other tone of voice. And that's rich coming from me. But like, this was, look, to be honest, I can spend the whole podcast talking about this. I love this segment. One of my favorite in Dynamite history. Best segment of the year. Will probably be the best segment of the year come year end, maybe. But I want Chad to talk. I want James to talk. I want you to talk more about it, Rev, too, because you just said what happened. But like, this was so good. This made me so excited, and just this was so refreshing because I didn't expect this.
Yeah, I mean, I borderline let my dinner burn because I was so like enthralled by it. I had to like run out. I was like, "Fuck!" So I missed like a little bit of what Darby said. I think it was when he started doing the high pitched voice.
You want some?
Going back to the tweet. No, I didn't actually burn it, so I did get to eat, thank God. But yeah, Chad, you were, as Danny was saying, like, I think you were pretty much with us here with how good it was, and you were a little surprised by Darby and how well he did in our group chat.
Absolutely. All right.
Also, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be back. Number one, I guess I'm going to take this much differently from you guys because I've only heard of the four pillars. This is my first actual segment of seeing them together and understanding what it means.
Us too.
So that was fucking phenomenal. Like, I've heard you guys say four pillars a million times, and I knew who they were, but this is my first interaction of them. So that was great.
If I remember correctly, Four Pillars stems from an MJF promo, correct? Where
from his feud with Darby from November 2021.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I totally wasn't watching it then, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, as Danny said, this was Jungle Boy's best promo. I'll go even further in saying this is Darby's best promo. He absolutely surprised me because, as I said in the chat, I was like, why would they let Darby go last, even if he's the face? I haven't seen anything vocally that made sense for him to be last when you usually save the best for last, but fuck did it work. It worked this time. The whole promo was amazing. He was actually the best part of the segment to me, and now I'm back on Team Darby. I hope he doesn't lose any matches other than that.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
No, I don't care. I'm with Chad, bro. Darby should be losing.
I am too, but we're all in for a world of hurt. I think.
Look, obviously, he's gonna lose in the Fatal 4-Way, but he won't be pinned. That's why fucking Sammy's there. But like,
he literally admitted it.
You know, but like now, I think Darby, and this is what everyone has to do. This is what a lot of these guys are doing. Darby staked his claim to potentially be the one to dethrone MJF because he even brought up the Bidding War of 2024 and how, well, it's not going to be like that with him because he wants to be here. This is the place he wants to be. So that's a little more personal. I mean, they all made it personal with MJF, like in different ways. So they all did a good job of that. This was everyone's, and this is what's exciting about MJF's title reign as predictable as it is, because we know it's not going to end until at least the end of this year. This is the excitement of it, and this is how you make it interesting. You have these three guys staking their. Okay, let's eliminate Sammy, but let's pretend for a second that he has a chance. These three guys staking their claim to potentially be the ones to dethrone MJF, and I don't mean right now. I mean towards the end of the year. You have Hangman, you have Cole, you have Eddie Kingston, hopefully, maybe, but I think that's more us wishful thinking. And then you have obviously CM Punk, who's going to come back because they didn't do anything wrong. But like there's so many things. It's beautiful. And we saw Ricky Starks if they can keep him hot. that's the beauty of it. There's so much excitement, and this segment brought this everything to the forefront. There are so many guys to be the guy, and that no matter what order they go in, it's going to be a great ride.
Do we not have Wardlow anymore?
No, Wardlow is a contender, but not as a potential guy to dethrone him.
Yeah, like he will have a match most likely. Will he? Is there any believability at this point? Not at all. Not at all.
No, they've really botched Wardlow. Yeah, they've really botched him.
He just lost the TNT title after winning it back 4 days earlier to Powerhouse Hobbs. So.
Oh, I thought Hobbs beat Samoa Joe. Yeah.
No,
that would have been smart.
And
that would
Hobbs
have been good.
beat Wardlow 3 days later.
Yeah.
After Wardlow got his car broken into and the TNT title stolen and all his gear stolen, it's been a rough time for the guy.
The only thing that beats Wardlow down worse than life itself is AEW.
But yeah, but he is MJF put out a list after he won the title, and it's people who aren't going to beat me for the title, and Wardlow amongst many of the people that Danny mentioned are on that list. So I imagine we will see that match in the future. But right now, like focusing on these guys, I'm excited for all of these matches. Even now, like you kind of touched upon it, Danny. Like we kind of saw face Sammy again, back to where he was when he was still Vlog Sammy and helping Fuego and stuff. And it was kind of nice to see that he could still get a positive reaction, despite the fact that it seems so many people have turned against him. And then he even threw in that zinger about Max getting not left at the altar, but having his fiance leave him. So,
how much better would that have been?
Well, I mean, it was a rebuttal to Max pointing out how he's going to propose to another girl in a few months, most likely. So, a fair back and forth.
No, turnabout is fair play, but it was still a good retort. So,
but also, I agree with what you said. I just, you can't describe someone as a good babyface and then call them a vlogger in the same sentence. That doesn't make sense. But everything else.
If you have a channel on YouTube, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, like you're a dick, bro. Like, if you're on YouTube, piece of shit. 100%.
Clearly.
But it did genuinely help him in his face turn along with the whole MJF storyline. So
no, it did. It did.
Yeah.
I would also like it on the record, by the way. It's basically been said that there was no overlap or cheating with Sammy, Ty, and Pam.
Yeah.
He still looks like an idiot. He still looks like a stupid child. But not necessarily. Like, if there's no cheating, I don't think we should say he deserves for people to turn on him.
I think I think there's a lot more shades of gray in this, and you're just looking at it as like an attorney or something. Like, like there was no technical cheating, but if you're spending all this time with another girl that's not your fiance, you're developing feelings. Those feelings didn't just manifest as soon as Sammy's relationship didn't work out. Like the seeds were planted.
I don't know that. I wasn't there.
There's like video.
No. Pam has said that there was no overlap and that she doesn't have any ill will towards Ty. I don't know.
That's good on her, and that's healthy for her. But doesn't.
All I'm saying is the hanging out could have happened after. We don't know. There is no clear timeline on that. But
it was absolutely during Harvey Birdman.
You know nothing, Jon Snow. But anyway. Can I just take it?
Oh, yeah, I was expecting you to. You said anyway.
Chad's not done. Chad has more to say.
Chad, you good? There you go.
I'm absolutely good.
Welcome back,
He's
Chad.
like halfway through a glug of blue Gatorade.
Welcome back, Chad. This was incredible. There have been rumors for the last few weeks that we were going to get a fatal four-way between the four pillars. And I don't know where it came from, but people have just been talking about it for a while. And either we manifest destiny this into reality. I don't think I used that right. But
you just said manifested. Manifest destiny has some pretty.
But it feels like it was destiny for this to happen.
So they're conquering the West.
Yeah. So I thought this was great. I was with Chad. I was biting my nails with Darby coming out last and cutting the promo last. And as he was delivering the promo, he really sounded like Kevin from The Office. But I think it helped endear him to us. He really did. But I think it made him more endearing. And I was like, oh, you go, champ. You got this. And I was really proud of him. I wanted to give him a gold star or like a little gold skeleton head. Some would call that a skull. But He nailed it. And one, I'm right there with Danny. The bit about calling out all the people just bitching and moaning on Twitter was magnifique, because if there's anybody who is AEW, like, just bleeding those colors that isn't Jon Moxley, it is Darby. He was there from day one. He had the first, I think, Dynamite title shot. He's won the TNT title, 2 or 3 times now?
Twice,
yeah.
Twice. He is that guy. And I was actually shocked that he included himself in the title scene. He said it multiple times in the past, I don't need the world title. I am happy with the TNT title. That is my title. That's the title I want to fight for. But it feels like fighting for this title means he's fighting for AEW. And I think that's just such a nice evolution to his goals and to what he wants and to his character. So loved all of that. Sammy did well. He was the one person, we've been saying it for the last few weeks, how do you fit Sammy into this? Because where he's been lately is just Jericho's like bad boy. He just didn't feel like he could fit in. And yet that promo showed us, yeah, he absolutely fits in here. He can hang with these guys. It was a nice reminder. And that dastardly baby face Jungle Boy, he did well. He did well. He got a nice pop. I don't have much to say about what he said. He kind of fell into like the, please Danny, be nice. I know I'm the one ripping into him, so just don't add to it. He kind of fell into like the Jeff Hardy, I'm just going to like be louder than everyone and say shut up when I don't like what I'm hearing. And that was okay. It worked for him in this instance. But
what's funny is I disagree with you on like a certain part of that, but like, because I don't think he was loud at all. I think the problem was he wasn't loud enough. I thought he was like
with his baby voice, that was very loud for him.
But I thought the material itself was good, but his delivery is, not the best. So, but like the material itself was pretty good, and it's classic heel stuff. So it's all fine. And the only other thing I'll say about what you agreed with me on about Darby taking the shots at people is, I saw and. They're not on the show because why the fuck would they be on the show? But one of the people complaining were one of the guns on Twitter that they weren't on the promotional material for the show tonight. It's like, yeah, why the fuck would you be? You guys are tanking a whole division and you're not credible. Like, they want people to watch and attend the show. Why would they put you on the posters?
Yep.
Like,
you are an unwelcome surprise.
Like, it's like people like that where it's like, oh, you have no right to complain. I'm sorry. Like, everyone has a right to complain, but you have no right to my sympathy. Like,
yeah, absolutely. This was great. My one bad thing about this, and it's not even bad, it just makes me sad. It's that I would love to see all of these guys in a one-on-one world title program. At this point, on TV, I would even take Sammy in a one-on-one. So it's kind of rough that we're not going to get those one-on-one matchups. But the Fatal 4-Way, it's like you said, I didn't even go there, but I believe you. I agree with you, and I think you're absolutely right. It does feel like that Shield triple threat. Yeah. It feels like when you had the first time of Cena versus Randy Orton. Or like the first time with like Randy Orton and Batista. It's like, these guys are a big deal. That this match is going to be something that you see in video packages later. I will say one thing. It did feel weird that they kept calling these guys the Four Pillars when at least one of them was replaced by Britt Baker a long time ago.
Yeah.
At least one of them.
If you ask CM Punk, it was Max, but if you ask everyone else, it was Sammy. But,
And if we ask this pod, it was Jungle Boy.
I think he's one of the pillars. I just think he's a heel, and that he's holding people like Luchasaurus down. But I will say, I think they can still have singles matches down the line. And this is me, maybe projecting and fantasy booking a little bit, but I can see the closer we get to 2024, the more it's like, okay, fuck you, MJF. You actually have to defend your title like every other week, and he will face these guys in one-on-one matches. So I can see them getting, again, I think we're going to get a mad rush of title matches in the last 3 months of the year.
I think so too.
And then maybe winter's coming is where the title changes hands, or maybe they actually wait until 2024. But it's going to be it's great. And I'm sorry, I want to talk about this forever, but I guess we have to talk about other stuff on the show.
That's true. And I'm sure we'll be talking about this a lot more, obviously. I personally, I think they'd be insane to do this match on television. But, I mean, having to
I mean, they're going to have to. Yeah, they're going to have to.
I was going to stretching it all the way out to the next pay-per-view is going to be a while. So, I guess they're going to do it on television, but I think that's nuts. Also, what up, JD? Thank you for actually getting the cadence of Cody's theme right on that. Well done.
Are those actual lyrics? I don't know anything besides adrenaline in my soul.
Maybe it is. I actually don't know. I'm so lost in the memes of that. I don't know the actual words.
Yeah, I just know
the way he typed it. It absolutely has to be it.
Yeah, it's adrenaline in my soul. Something, something. Cody Rhodes. Like, and then I don't know anything after that.
Yeah, it's not every fight out of control. I don't think. But
it might be. Went. I think it is.
It sounds right though.
All right, well, somebody Google it real quick, and then
he typed it like he was very sure of himself. I'm going to go with him and say that he's just correct.
Well, anyway, after...
No, damn it. It's every thought out of control. Do it all to get them off their feet.
Well, I think he thought those were the words.
Yeah, he came closer than we did.
If not, that's still a solid version of the meme, so I'm not going to complain.
He was still loud and wrong.
Yeah, I don't think that was a meme. I think he just got the words wrong. Sorry, bud.
When you want to be right, you sound... Never mind. Anyway, after this wonderful segment, we had a quick video package where we saw Chris Jericho be honored by Winnipeg for his many accomplishments over the years. And then we had Hangman Adam Page and Evil Uno and Stu Grayson of the Dark Order. Welcome back, Stu Grayson, against the Blackpool Combat Club, obviously being Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli. So the match starts with Evil Uno being a little too aggressive too early, and he ends up getting stuck in the BCC's corner until he finally escapes and tags in Stu. Stu comes in hot, and he still looks like phenomenal. He's still great. He's still got it. I was very happy with him, and he was doing a really good job until Wheeler Yuta held the ropes open and Stu fell through them, and then he's hit with a spike pile driver on the outside as we head into commercial. After a little while, through commercial and until we come back, Stu hits Mox with a sick running knee, and they both make tags to Hangman and Yuta respectively. Things start breaking down until Hangman and Mox come face-to-face. Hangman ends up winning the exchange and sets up for the Bucks shot, but Moxley actually grabs the referee, and Wheeler Yuta sneaks around behind and hits Hangman in the back of the head with the ring bell. So Uno and Grayson, realizing what happened to Hangman, realize that they're going to have to do it themselves in a 2-on-3. They take out Claudio and hit Wheeler and Moxley with a wombo combo and hit a fatality onto Mox, but Yuta ends up breaking up that pin. Uno then goes back into the corner for the tag, but Yuta pulls him off the apron. That allows Mox to throw Grayson into a pop-up uppercut by Claudio. Mox then comes over, locks in the rear naked choke, and Grayson is forced to tap out. After the bell, Moxley refuses to release the choke as he's been doing, and Uno comes in and tries to make the save, but he's attacked by Claudio and Yuta until Silver and Reynolds come down from backstage, and they chase off the BCC. So, James, this match was good. I'm very happy we got Stu Grayson back. I know it's probably one-off, but it was really, really nice to see him. Like I said, he's definitely still got it. So, good match, and we're continuing the storyline, and we'll see later. We'll continue the storyline of the Dark Order and Hangman against the BCC. And if we haven't had it by now, this heel turn is completely solidified. It's over.
Absolutely. Moxley has felt like such a different entity than Dean Ambrose for so long now. And this match brought me back to early days of the Shield. The way the three of them were just working together to undermine the referee, to get behind the rules, still look dominant, mind you. Like, the Shield used to cheat back then because they wanted to, not because they needed to, and that's how it felt tonight, too. These are 2.5 guys that could easily win any match they want on their own. I love Yuta, come on!
I didn't know where you were going. I agree with you.
You said it. Who are you getting mad at?
No, he gave me a look.
I threw him a little head nod.
I love Yuta, but let's be realistic.
No, you're right.
these are three guys who are so dominant, and they were still doing every cheap underhanded tactic in the book, hitting tag team moves together when they shouldn't be, dropping them on the outside, using weapons. This was classic heel shield stuff, and it feels right to see Moxley leading the charge in that regard. The match itself was great. I've had the pleasure of seeing Stu wrestle outside of AEW since his departure, and he has just been working on a completely different level, and I'm so glad with how he was utilized in this match, including also being the guy to take the loss. That way people who are actually on the roster don't look weak in defeat. They could still look strong and fight on. 2 bits... Okay, please.
I was a little disappointed that he ended up taking the loss just because he was returning, but I think that's a very good point.
You have Evil Uno right there, All
right, but that actually leads me to one of my favorite things about what's been going on with this feud lately. It's great that this is a Hangman feud. It's great that there is so much going on. I have never been more invested in Evil Uno as a character than I have throughout this feud.
I completely agree. I agree with you.
He has stepped up in such a way that he feels important. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Dark Order, they're still going to be taking these losses because we're just not learning anything from history. But Uno has managed to get the fans behind him again. And again, I know they were in Canada tonight. I know he and Stu are from Canada. But even before this week, he's just been rallying, and it's been such a good display of this character. And I hope to see more for him. I hope that he really pushes forward in a great way. And I gotta say, I loved the bit. I love the bit when Hangman and Mox are in the ring and Excalibur is selling it at this huge moment. These two haven't been in the ring since Revolution. And I'm like, you mean a fucking week ago?
Week and a half.
Like, oh man, wow. I haven't seen, when Danny and I get together, it's going to be a bigger deal because I haven't seen him since Revolution either. So I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Great match, fun, solid pacing. They did excellent, and loved what came later with them, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, I think with Uno, the characterization is cool because obviously he was in charge, and then they brought in Brody Lee, and he became the number 2 guy to Brody. Yep. But it almost became in a comical sense because of the papers and everything. Yep. And it was great. I loved it. But obviously when Brody passed, he became in charge of the Dark Order, and they almost seemed content to just clown around. And obviously it was out of kayfabe. It was because it was working. But in kayfabe, they just kind of seemed more content to clown around than actually, be the Dark Order. So you see them lose a lot of their members. Alan Angels goes on to Impact. You have Stu, he didn't necessarily leave the Dark Order, but he left the company. Anna Jay leaves. She goes to the JAS. I think I haven't seen her in quite a few weeks. And then you have Ten leave, and he goes and joins up with Roosh. So you see them kind of falling apart. And in recent weeks, as he's had to defend Hangman and defend Silver and Reynolds, he's kind of stepped up into being a leader again, and he's found a violent streak as well, but he's really coming into his own and becoming the leader of the Dark Order again, which I've very much enjoyed. So Chad, I obviously, since you haven't been here in a while, I'm sure you're a little surprised to see the BCC being heel. So what was your takeaway from this match?
I kind of knew they would be heels sooner or later. I think it was just written in the cards. But win, lose, or draw, I'm always here for some Dark Order. I know Danny is going to disagree, but it is what it is.
It's more of an Eric thing than a Danny thing.
I feel like it's a Danny thing now. If it's not, it is now.
It depends on whether or not Danny's remembering if he's doing a bit.
True. I love Stu. I love Uno. I love Hangman. The match was great. I'm with James. The pacing was awesome. I did see shades of the Shield in the BCC. I don't know how far that's gonna go, or what the end game is for that, but I did see it, and I'm curious to see.
Right on fucking cue.
I
Eric.
hate Eric. God,
I saw you
him.
laughing, Danny. I was like, all right, he's gonna click it. I'm not gonna click it.
I hate Eric, man. Damn. Because they're great, Eric.
They are.
That's why. Shit. Danny, agree with me.
Eric aside, Danny, how do you feel about the Dark Order at this match?
Shit, I wish I had a coin to flip to decide my opinion. But,
Just go on Google really quick.
I guess I saw Shades of the Shield like you guys did, but that might just be because one of the members of the Shield was in the match. But it was fun. It was really good. The only thing, I'm not gonna shit on it, but I'm also not gonna like go crazy on it. I will just say it was in a rough spot following the greatest segment in maybe Dynamite history. It was in a rough spot. So like those circumstances, it was good. I thought Stu was really good. I would have still had Uno be the one because I think it would feel more personal then, because Mox, I think, would hate Uno a little more, whereas he wouldn't feel anything about Stu. So you could have, I think you still could have done that. And, maybe that's a way to lure the guy back in, but also, who cares? It's just Stu Grayson, I guess. But like I said, he was really good in this match. No, I'm just saying from like, that's not someone you're like, I gotta sign this guy, like if you're Tony Khan, but like, so maybe it is better off just use him sparingly and be like, hey, you want to come in for a match? And be like, yeah, sure. And you can do something like that, because this whole thing was he wanted to wrestle more, and he got to wrestle plenty in this match. And to be honest, this is like the best he's looked since one of the early tag tournaments from like year 2 of Dynamite. Yeah. So, good on him. Remember when him and like Gallows were the ones to be counted out of that 10-man tag? And I was like, why him? Or,
Yeah, I remember. It was something weird. I vaguely remember that. But yeah, it was weird. But wasn't he the one who ended up like taking Gallows out, and that's why it happened?
Well, they just fought each other to the back, and they both got counted out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was good overall. It was good enough. I have no strong opinions on it, honestly.
I have no strong opinions one way or the other. No, I enjoyed it like James and Chad did, and I agree with them. The pacing was very well done, and like I said earlier, I'm enjoying this storyline, and I'm enjoying the growth of Uno. I think he's having a really good arc right now, so I'm looking forward to see where they go with that. All right, let's move on here. We had a quick backstage Juice Robinson promo after he took out Ricky Starks last week. Cool, bro. And then we had Jade Cargill in her Canadian Open Challenge for the TBS Championship. It was answered by Nicole Matthews, who is apparently a 17-year indie vet in Canada, and she got beat in about 30 seconds with a Jaded, so sorry.
20
Renee comes into the ring afterwards and asks Jade what kind of competition she's looking for, and as she's doing that, Jade backs Renee into the corner, kind of threateningly saying, like, aren't you from Canada? Aren't you from Canada? And then she grabs her face, kisses her forehead, and takes the mic from her. So Jade asks if that's the best Canada has to offer, and we hear some music, and it's Taya Valkyrie, who last I looked was in Impact, but I guess she's a free agent now. She comes down to the ring and goes face-to-face with the champ. They circle for a bit, and Jade jumps out of the ring, which gives Layla Gray the opportunity to attack Taya from behind. She counters and hits a Jaded to Layla, and Jade is pissed, but then she gets held back by the refs. I know, Danny, I'll let you get on that in a second. But James, you're very, very excited.
I'm so happy. I am so happy. Taya is a great talent. To answer your question about her in Impact, she hasn't been under contract with Impact. She's basically been working there as a free agent. She is a member of the Death Dolls alongside Rosemary and Jessica with a K. Taya has always been a decorated wrestler, but she has really, I don't want to say upped her game since her NXT release, but she has traveled all around. She has won a lot of championships down in Mexico. She, like I said, she is, I believe, still the current Impact Knockout Tag Team Champion. And she just keeps proving herself over and over. I am, just as my header says, I am so ready to get hurt again with a debut that I'm so hyped for, just to see this person I really like lose, but it's okay. I think they presented her beautifully tonight. She got a nice pop when she came out. She looked imposing. She looked intimidating against Jade. And her Valkyrie using Jade's finish on baddie number 7 was excellent.
They look gray.
You're all color-based. Why are they all color-based?
Isn't that her finisher, too?
No.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask what.
Yeah, I thought she used the Glam Slam too. She did in NXT, I'm pretty sure.
I don't believe she's been using it in Impact, but I got to double check now because now
I'm starting to think you don't watch Impact, actually.
She hasn't wrestled in a while. She hasn't wrestled in a while.
Also, I'm surprised you even like her because she is foreign and a woman, so that usually would mean you wouldn't like her.
And women.
I think Danny just answered my question. At the risk of sounding ignorant, is she Canadian?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A lot of people thought she was going to be the challenger tonight, but I think this was better. I think this was a little bit better in how they handled her. And it seems that she is now, I don't know if she's gotten a Taya Valkyrie is all elite yet, but I think it's pretty much guaranteed at this point that it's coming.
Yeah, I'll try to get on that in a sec, but I was initially disappointed at the way they did this, but looking back at it now, I think I'm cool with it because this feels like it's going to be Jade's most important feud since Shaq. So she has, she's done things, but they've all been, I don't know, minute and like just so minuscule and mostly on Rampage.
I mean, so, Nick, can she beat Willow Nightingale for a 5th time?
Yeah, like was that her biggest feud? Like she had the breakup with Kiera Hogan and then Red Velvet, and that lasted all of 3 weeks, and again 98% of that was on Rampage.
Oh, that's done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so both of them are no longer in the baddies. It's just the one baddie now.
And in case you're wondering what they're doing now, Chad, the answer is nothing.
Oh, I figured that.
Yeah.
Very unfortunate.
We haven't seen any of them in a while. So I think this, if they play this right, I think it'll be Jade's biggest and most important feud. I do think Taya loses, but I think that builds up to Jade's next feud, and I think there's a good chance, depending on who it is that's where Jade ends up losing the title. Danny, I want to go to you next because you pointed out in our chat that the referees holding Jade back after Taya hit the Jaded was kind of fucking stupid.
It was. Why were they holding her back? Like, what is the reasoning? Why were they holding her back? Why weren't they holding Taya Valkyrie back, the one who was assaulting someone? Like, it makes no sense. And, like, there's no contextual... Like, Mark Sterling coming out and pulling her away, that makes sense. Why are the referees doing it? I do not understand. It was so dumb. But that aside, I actually agree with whichever one of you Scoobies said that you actually liked the way they set this up when initially you didn't. I believe it was you, Rev. Yeah. But I liked it too. Whereas like you're expecting the big debut to be the challenger, but instead of just having the person come out and lose, they came out after to set up. And granted, yes, they're going to lose in the future, but like you said, it feels like a bigger deal that way. So this match does feel like a big deal. I'm indifferent, I guess, about Taya, but like I don't dislike her. I like her, but like, I don't have particularly strong feelings about it. But like you guys were saying, this was a very well presented debut, so it made me care a little bit more. So I automatically treat her like a little bit bigger of a deal. Then again, this is kind of how we felt about Athena in week 1. So we'll see in week 2 and week 3 how we still feel, because it's AEW and a debut in women. So, the track record isn't great, but maybe in like 8 months, after they've been botched so badly, her, Athena, and like another couple, and maybe like another few women can start a faction like the Outcasts, and they'll be saved, I guess.
Yeah, it has taken a lot of these signings to the women's division a little while to catch their footing after their first feud, assuming they get a first feud. Like it took Athena a while to really get going. I think she feuded with Jade, so I guess maybe that was Jade's biggest feud. But then she just went in the middle of nowhere, and now she's turned heel and has the Ring of Honor championship, and she's actually doing quite well. Even though it's on Ring of Honor, she has found her footing. Ruby. She had her feud against Britt and then seemingly disappeared for a while. And then she, found her footing again with Willow there for a bit and the feud with Anna Jay and Ty Conti. And now she's really found her footing as she's turned heel and gone joined up with the Outsiders or the Outcasts, excuse me, which we'll get to in a bit. But I would hope this doesn't happen again where Taya comes in. She's given a feud. It ends. It appears we think she's going to lose, and then she just flounders and does nothing in the women's division for another 8 months.
No, she'll be tagging
with a toy box, like JD said.
She'll be tagging with Madison Rayne on Dark in no time. Don't you guys worry.
Yeah, that's what I hope doesn't happen, but it seems to be the pattern with some of these big women free agent signings outside of Saraya and I guess to an extent Toni Storm. So we will end up seeing. But Chad, how excited are you to see Taya Valkyrie in AEW?
Or Frankie Monet, as you want to call her.
Yeah.
I only did that to get at James because I know how much he loves her. I don't know. Like, a part of me is super excited because I love her as a superstar and a talent. However, do we not think she gets the same exact like John Morrison treatment? I feel
her husband.
Yeah, I feel like she'll be there for like a couple weeks. She'll do the feud and then she'll drop off the canvas completely. I can't help but think that. I mean,
we don't. Yeah,
you're not wrong.
I forgot to check if she is all elite. So give me a second. But it is possible this could just be a per appearance basis. She does the feud, like you said, with Jade, and then she moves on and goes to her next contract. So
right. So that's the only reason why I'm trying to hold my excitement. And also, as you guys said, after she loses, which she will. Sorry, James. Nah, I'm not sorry. You know this. It's common knowledge. I think we all know.
I think we could all agree. It's been great having Chad back. See you again in 3 months, buddy. Bye-bye.
Nope, I'm back full time, buddy. Yeah, I mean, we know she's gonna lose. After she loses, then like what? There's nothing after going against Jade. That's why Jade should be the main champion. But anyway.
So I'm going to put something out there that I'm not necessarily saying I'm clamoring for, but I've heard a lot of the women talking about it, or I've read a lot of the women talking about it, and I think they have the numbers to do it now.
Nope. We're not having that conversation right now.
I'm just saying a lot of the women have been calling for a tag division, Saraya being chief among them, and if certain twins decide to sign with AEW, I think
they won't.
I don't believe that.
Just like Edge wasn't going to return in the 2020 Royal Rumble, and he didn't want fans to be disappointed. Yeah. Look, there's certain situations where I believe what I hear straight from the horse's mouth less than anything in the world. And this is one of those situations. I don't believe a wrestler when they tell me they're not doing something.
Yep.
Okay, that's a bold-faced lie.
It could happen 10 years from now. We'll still be right.
Yeah.
But maybe that's the direction they're going. Again, I'm not saying I'm arguing for it. I'm not saying I'm clamoring for it, but that discussion has been at least brought up apparently.
Well, look, there's two ways it can go. And hopefully they would follow the Impact model of women's tag titles, but they also just might end up following the WWE model of tag team championships. So, it's a real coin flip, but it's AEW with the women's division, so the coin is weighted in one direction.
Yeah, I have checked, and Taya Valkyrie has indeed gotten the All Elite.
She has, yay!
So, yeah, she is.
Okay, so don't worry, Chad. It won't be like you fear. Like, she won't get treated like John Morrison. She'll be treated like Madison Rayne, Athena, everyone else that's signed with the company. Well, she won't be treated as well as Athena, but she'll be treated as well as Madison Rayne. She will lose her title match and then be on Dark and Elevation after that. So all's well that ends well, I guess.
Yes, man. All right, let's move on. After that, we had a backstage interview with Ricky Starks where he called out Juice Robinson for jumping him from behind last week. He called him out saying that he hasn't done anything since being AEW, and the coolest thing he's done at all is being in Bullet Club, which was cool in like 2015. And he says they can fight anytime, anywhere, and that Juice can bring Bullet Club if he wants. So, all right.
The only thing I have to say about that is, who the hell knew CJ Parker was so popular? What the fuck?
Me! I've been saying that.
You have, and yet, who knew that CJ Parker was this popular?
There's a whole other part of the planet, and they love him as a mid-carder. They love him.
He was saving the planet at one point in time, so that makes sense.
Damn it.
Just ripping off Captain Planet's bit. All right, after this, we had the debut of QTV, which was basically just a TMZ spoof, which is pretty funny, where QT Marshall is leading the office in their review of the tape of Wardlow's car being broken into, where we see Aaron Solo break into his car and steal the TNT title. QT, Solo, and James, does anybody know who that blonde woman was?
Nope.
No? Well, I like her. But they all then just make jokes about Wardlow for a while before QT asks Hobbs what's next, and Hobbs says that it's Will's world now, bitch. So I wasn't expecting much from this. So the fact that it was even remotely funny was actually pretty good, but it was very low expectations. So I don't know if you guys have anything for this. I'm assuming whoever put up Eric's comment doesn't.
Wait, was it called QTV or QTTV?
QTV.
QTV?
Yeah.
Not a name I would go with in our current climate, but
I get it.
If I thought QT was clever enough to poke fun at that, I would appreciate it more. But I just feel like that's something he would actually watch. So I don't know.
Is it the haircut or is it the shirts?
It's everything. He was on this wrestling channel that existed before us, and I'm pretty sure stopped existing once we started existing.
As they all did.
And just from hearing him in like one interview, I was like, he's probably a bit of a douche, but like a well-meaning douche. But like, probably thought The Godfather was a little too good of a movie for a lot of his life.
I don't understand that comment.
I kind of get it, maybe in the sense that Jarrett was a big backstage guy in Impact, and he also just drew instant heat, whether it was go away or otherwise. And QT has similar responsibilities in AEW, and he does draw instant heat, whether it's go away or otherwise. So I kind of understand the parallels he's trying to draw, but...
Well, I don't think he gets much of a reaction at all, but I know what you mean. But I actually want to say that I know JD is putting that as like a joke, but it's so weird that going to AEW has made me like want to see Paul White once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
I think
it's been a long enough time.
I think he's recovering from surgery that will allow him to get back into the ring. I think
he's on the very tail end of that recovery. Like he'll be back soon.
I mean, because these old guys, and I mean that means he's jumping off the stage for sure, right? Like that's a guarantee because that's what.
Why else get the surgery? Why else get the surgery?
Doing superplexes from the apron to the floor, Jericho style.
Him, Darby, and Sting are gonna fucking steal the show at the next pay-per-view.
Sting versus the Giant. Book it, Tony Khan.
It's never been done before.
James, did you have something to say about this QTV segment before we moved on?
It just feels really weird. It just feels very weird how we went from the Book of Hobbs to Hobbs being part of QTV. It feels like it was a very sudden transition. And I know they gave up on the Book of Hobbs stuff a while ago, but I agree. I don't know why they did that.
So
It was looking really good for him, but that's the reality. I hope they give him a good, strong direction with this push, and it's not looking great off the. Like, I don't necessarily think QTV is actually a bad concept. I think it could be a fun thing if done properly, but
on YouTube, yeah.
I think you said the same exact thing last week, and I think Danny had the same exact response.
it
Chad,
sounds like
any
it.
opinions?
Oh, I had to urinate really badly, so I missed this whole segment.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't watch it at all. So anything I said, I was just riffing off of what Rev said.
I thought it was funny, but I had very low expectations, so I laughed a little bit. You know, got sensible chuckle, and that was it. But I wasn't expecting much more. So good for him. We'll see where it goes. It was their first shot. All right, let's move on because I think we spend far too much time on this as it is. Next up, we had do the click thing. Thank you. Orange Cassidy versus Jeff Jarrett for what is now the AEW International Championship, where Orange, as he came down to the ring, basically took the new title, put it in his backpack. I think he left the old one there and then just walked into the ring. And that was the changing of the titles. So it was done in the most perfectly Orange Cassidy way, and I loved it. Also, there was a Double J is more likely to beat Roman sign, so I very much enjoyed that. Shout out to that proud Canadian. Anyway, Jarrett dominated most of the early match, attacking the knee he injured last week with the guitar and beating down Orange throughout the crowd during the picture-in-picture. Later, as Jarrett's about to lock in the figure four, he then decides not to and goes for a sharpshooter for the Heat because Canada. And then Orange is able to actually get out of it and locks in his own sharpshooter. But due to the weakened knee, Jarrett's able to get to the ropes fairly easily, along with the help of Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh, who were at ringside. Jay Lethal, not at ringside. He left him on the stage because his arm was in a sling after his match last week against Orange for the title. So then Jarrett is able to lock in a sleeper hold, and Cassidy looks like he's fading. But then, he does the, my arm doesn't go down thing. Puts his hands in his pockets and does a jawbreaker to get out of it, which is pretty cool. Cassidy then goes after Jarrett near the ropes, but Satnam Singh pulls Cassidy over the ropes, and he ends up snapping back to the floor. And then Jeff Jarrett locks in the figure four. And Cassidy, after a couple of it seemed like a whole agonizing minute where he was almost pinned a few times and almost seemed like he almost passed out, Orange is able to punch his way out of the hold. The two then exchange strikes until Jarrett pushes Orange into the ref, Bryce Remsburg, and that allows Jarrett to go get his guitar. However, Aubrey comes down in a moment of save, because she's the savior, and she prevents Jarrett from using the guitar, and he starts arguing with her. Orange grabs the guitar as Aubrey isn't looking, but Singh takes it from him. So Orange goes up to Aubrey, taps her on the shoulder, and falls Eddie Guerrero style, so that she sees Singh with the guitar up on the apron.
After the turn, which was the best part about it.
Yeah, she turned around and then he fell. But so she chases both Singh and Dutt back up the ramp as Bryce Remsburg starts to get up and comes to. So he's getting up, and Jeff Jarrett distracts him, and Jay Lethal, without the sling, comes out of the crowd and hits Orange in the head with the Golden Globe that they saw a few months back. Jarrett then goes in for the pin, but Orange is able to kick out. Orange then tries to get it back up, but his leg gives out. So Jarrett gets him up and attempts to stroke, but Orange is able to counter, throws Jarrett into the ropes, and that allows Orange to get the momentum and the time he needs to land the Orange punch and retain the new international title. I got through that without saying Intercontinental. I'm very proud of myself.
Good job, buddy.
Danny, as our foremost Orange Cassidy expert, I'm sure you were very excited. What up, you know it? But I like this match. It was a good match. Orange Cassidy obviously had to overcome the knee, but he was able to do so, and I had fun.
I had so much fun. I went on such a roller coaster of emotions. This is the beauty of Orange Cassidy. Like Chad said, best champion on TV. It's not even debatable. James tried a pity debate in the comments, but
no, I was just being. Chad just takes these weird pot shots at me throughout the night, and I gotta like return it back to him every once in a while.
I guess. But like, anyway, Orange Cassidy is so freaking good. I know I'm talking. I can't do two things at once. But Orange Cassidy.
There was a real fear I wasn't going to be able to get back in because I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay, sorry. But he's the best champion on TV. Every week, he just puts on, and I hate using the phrase low key because I think it's been co-opted by the youth, and I don't feel right using it anymore. But low key has like the best matches on TV every week, or if not the best, just not an underappreciated, but an overlooked, but a very enjoyed match every single week. And I'm sorry, who else can have that good of a match with Jeff Jarrett at Jeff Jarrett's current age? Like, come on. That shit was unbelievable. And that's the beauty of Jeff Jarrett, too, because Jarrett is not someone to admire a lot. You have to give praise where it's due, when it's due, but there's a lot of criticism to be thrown at him. But since his time in AEW, he has taken that and ran with it. He has taken the criticism, and I've said it week after week, he's allowed himself to be the butt of the joke, and he uses that to his advantage, and he's using that to give us that fear, that false finish with the Acclaimed in the tag title match. And here, I believed for 2 seconds that the match was going to end, that he was going to hit the stroke and win, and he hammed that shit up too.
Yep. I believe for 2.999 seconds that he was going to win after Lethal hit him with the Golden Globe.
Yeah,
I'm at a total 4.5 seconds.
Yeah.
I still think he's champion somehow right now.
Yeah, like I gotta go back and double check, but like they did this so well, and that's what every Orange Cassidy match, or hell, any member of the Best Friends match has been, and that's why Yuta didn't fit in with the Best Friends. I figured it out just now. He didn't fit in with the Best Friends because he didn't have that over the top shenanigans aspect to him. He was too grounded in reality, where all the Best Friends are very over the top characters, and Jeff Jarrett, of course, he's an old guy, he's old school, so of course you're gonna have shenanigans. And I'm not saying this like a bad thing, like, oh, there's too much interference, there's too much going on. No, this is the exact point of the card where you throw all that shit on, you do that shit, and that's what adds to the match, because it made us all believe. And not for not a good belief. Like, we didn't want this to be the case, but it made us believe that Jarrett could win and be like, oh no, because we all have this fear that it's right underneath the surface that, oh no, Jeff Jarrett can ruin things in a heartbeat. The second he wins a title, all this good shit we're saying goes away, and it's immediately like, oh no, this is Impact, or like, oh no, this is like this is all the wrong, things. It's tough. Like, I don't like saying there's certain things. I'm like, I can't say that. All right,
we've aged out of certain things, certain phrases and words.
One of my coworkers,
low key all the time.
You're young at heart. You're young at heart. You're both young at heart.
But first of all,
I think I'm the youngest one here.
Chad's like 7 years older than the rest of us, but like,
Whoa.
all right, like 4
We're
years
all
older,
catching strays tonight. I don't know why we're attacking each
We're
other.
testy this week, man.
This is
I feel like
jubilance.
I feel like we are. I feel like we're all smiling, having a great time. What is this? What are you guys talking
The
about?
pot is spicy tonight.
But one of my coworkers is my age, and he says cap and like no cap, and I'm like, no, like, you say dead ass, okay? Like, we're of that age. I was like, and that's not even an age thing. It's just, I think it's a better phrase, which
everyone
I guess
had to stop saying cap after AJ Styles said it on Raw that one time. It was the funniest uses of cap I've ever seen, and it completely killed it.
The Nursing Home Royal Rumble. Fuck.
Yeah, there we go. Hey guys, we're all old. That's the thing, right?
Wait, put in the comments as we're doing this who should be in the Nursing Home Royal Rumble. You can start with Ric Flair and Jarrett and go from there.
He's talking about us.
Yeah,
I know, but now I just am thinking about who would be in the Nursing Home.
Oh man! But anyway, this again, just I don't. Maybe it wasn't the best match on the night because we had the main event that we had, but this was so much fun. The right guy won. This guy is fucking the beauty of AEW right now. Almost every championship, besides the obvious one, is exactly where it should be. And these people really shouldn't be losing anytime soon. Well, Jamie could lose anytime soon, but she could also not lose anytime soon. Every championship is on the right person, except for the obvious one, which, again, these people weren't on the show because they're not fucking stars. And the people who should still be champions were technically on the show. But so Cassidy having this is perfect, is better. This is better than the TNT title. It's genuinely on. It's a slight step below MJF just because he doesn't get segments as much. But if he did, I think they would be neck and neck. But we talked about earlier, Cassidy is also in that name of people that needs to challenge MJF for the title, and that'll be match of the year, 100% guaranteed. I promise you, it'll be match of the year when it happens, because that's like the wrestler of the year and technically the best wrestler in the world, because MJF just beat the best wrestler in the world. So amazing stuff. They worked me so many times in this match. And
you're right about like where it is on the card for it to be the perfect spot, especially like with Jarrett too. I'm sure he's involved in a lot of the booking for this stuff, and he writes it like they used to back in the day. And this is how they used to with all this like wacky interference, but then the face is able to overcome. Chad, do you have anything else to add, or did Danny take it all?
I mean, you can literally copy and paste everything Danny said for me. You know how I feel about Orange Cassidy. I think he's, as I said, the best champion on television. He's one of my favorite superstars on TV, period. I mean, he's a comedic genius. The drama, the emotion of the match. As soon as Eric said that Jeff Jarrett was going to win, I was on pins and needles the entire fucking match. I was scared shitless. I was going insane in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to do the fucking pod if he loses. Like, I would have been literally depressed. But that shit was great. It took me through every emotion that I felt when The Rock was fighting Triple H years ago. Like, it was the same energy. Great match. Great guy. Great champion. That's all I got.
James?
Danny hit most of it perfectly. I just want to add, like, and again, funny, I'm bringing up Impact. There's this sort of trend going on right now. Like, Impact brought in Bully Ray. AEW brought in Jeff Jarrett. And there was a lot of pushback initially. Like, why are these old guys on my TV? As long as they can still go, they're proving their worth. Jarrett, he's like this bomb. It's like Danny said, like, we could speak beautifully of him right now because he hasn't won anything important. The moment he does win something major, like a title, that's when all that goes away. And they know that. He's this little bomb waiting to go off, this tornado that could just tear through the roster. And as long as they maintain that, that's perfect. That's exactly what you need. There needs to be fear for baby faces to lose. If you have somebody like Orange Cassidy just going against guys who, okay, well, if they beat him, that's fine. I like that guy too. There's no stakes. There's no real stakes. When you have someone like Jeff Jarrett challenging for the international title, I got it on the first one. If you have someone like Bully Ray going for the world heavyweight title, it's terrifying. You're ready to get mad. You want that emotional response, and they know how to do it. And that's why Jeff has been such a great addition to the company, and it's scary to think about what he can offer. But he's doing it. He's doing it beautifully, almost to the detriment of people around him.
Like
I care what?
Like Lethal?
Exactly like Lethal. Yeah. Exactly like Lethal. I love Lethal. I think Lethal is a great talent. I care so much more about Jarrett than I do Lethal right now.
Yeah, because Jarrett has this interesting thing where you don't want him to win both in and out of kayfabe. Because in kayfabe, fuck that guy. He's a cheating piece of shit, chicken shit heel. But outside of kayfabe, don't put that on Jeff Jarrett. Like, what are you doing? The stupidest idea ever would be to put a title on Jeff Jarrett.
Like, we have so much track record showing that it's not a good idea.
So you're watching it, and it just adds another layer of I swear to God, if this guy wins, level of like anxiety as you're watching this match.
If John Cena wins, we riot type of anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. So it's awesome and terrifying at the same time. He's like, I know he wrestles a lot more, but he's like heel Sting in his role, you know. But
and that's funny because Sting never fucking loses, and Jared always loses.
Yeah, well, Jared
so weird.
He loses the matches he needs to lose, which is
most of them, which is the important ones. Yeah,
exactly. Which is exactly what you want because you obviously you keep him strong, and then he loses to the Acclaimed.
Think back to when he and Lethal won the tag titles.
We all had a heart attack.
Like
collectively,
the arena would have exploded if that stayed.
That being said, I'd rather them have been tag champs than the Ass Boys.
I agree,
100%.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
Also, just a quick note, and I guess maybe a stray based on what you said. Mentioned that if John Cena wins, we riot. I will laugh my ass off if John Cena wins at WrestleMania. I will not be upset in the slightest. I will die laughing.
I'm rooting for it so much.
I don't think anybody will actually be upset.
Like, I know we've argued about theory on this pod a lot, but he legit ruined him. Like, he buried him beyond redemption to me. But, that's a side note. And back to this. Weirdly, it's so weird that we're praising Jared all the time in this podcast.
He's earning it, though. He's earning it. He's absolutely earning it.
But you're still on thin ice, Jared. Don't get cocky, kid. All right.
Because I remember when he came in, we were all kind of concerned.
Did I make a Star Wars reference right there? I don't know if I did.
Don't get cocky, kid. But yeah, we were all kind of concerned when he initially came in. But
I was not. Okay. I was praising it from day one. I was confused, but I was like, "This is going to be fun."
I was definitely confused, and I was initially concerned. I think you kind of talked me around, if I remember correctly. I don't know about you and you, Danny, and you, Chad, but I remember I was a little concerned. But I was like, all right, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and let's see where it goes. And he's blown me away at what he's done. So maybe he's just always been one of those guys. He just needs a limiter, and now that he's got one in Tony Khan to steer him in the right direction, he's doing a great job. So
he just needs to not be in charge.
Yes, he needs to not book. Don't give him the book.
Never drew a dime. Next up, we had, and more just Danny happiness segments. We had a new music video from the Acclaimed. A lot of footage from one of their recent signings, and I only know that because Brandon Cutler was there, so it was on BTE this week. And Danny, I'll throw it straight to you again. What did you think of the newest music video from the Acclaimed?
I thought it was fantastic. I thought it was a catchy song. I thought the bars were good. I think I like the stray that Mitch McConnell caught in this, because Caster knows no political alignment. He throws jabs at both sides. But I thought it was really good. And all it made me think is what I already said earlier, which is that they should still be champs. There's absolutely no reason that they shouldn't be champs right now. Where were the tag titles on this episode? Where were FTR? Where was any of that?
Yeah, that was
weird. These guys, we got a lot of homegrown stuff going on, versus outsiders. In a lot of ways, it's kind of sprinkled, not just in the women's division, but throughout the company in a lot of ways. And I'm glad they're still on TV though, and they're still doing something. This felt like, even though they were in the Fatal 4-Way and they, were in the tag title hunt after losing it, this feels like their first time doing something after losing the title. So I liked it. I was a fan of it. Good job, Max. I'll give you an attaboy.
As our resident rapper, James, what'd you think?
I loved it. I'm sad for Canada. I'm sad for. Oh, that was rude. I'm sorry for Canada that they couldn't get the Acclaimed in person. That's the true loss of the night. But it was fun, and I just put the tag titles back on them. Right. Yeah. Either that or give them the trios title with Daddy Ass.
Yeah. Honestly,
I thought they were hinting at with this. Honestly,
Yeah.
a little bit.
I'm a little disappointed that they weren't in Canada either, just because the pink would have went well up there.
Yeah. Very true.
And
Can't imagine why.
Chad, what'd you think?
I thought the same. I thought it was great. It was fun. I missed that small window where they lost the titles and was pissed.
You didn't miss anything.
I mean, clearly I missed something though because they lost the titles. But I don't see where that was a smart decision at all. I'm with you guys.
It wasn't.
Put the titles back on them. That it makes no sense.
Yeah, and as we'll talk about in a minute, or I guess I could just do it now, they're going to start feuding with Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic. They called them out in a backstage promo after the next segment. So they're just feud for now, I guess. We'll see where that ends up going, but, that is what it is.
It's going to go into a Jericho feud because Jericho has to siphon off the most over people on the roster to stay relevant because he is a pop vampire, and that's how he stays so middle-aged. I didn't hear your joke, but I
said I thought he was a rock vampire instead of pop rock. Never mind.
No, I actually liked it more than that you explained it. So
it's a very rare instance of needing to explain a joke.
Yeah, no, but I think that the Acclaimed are actually good for now. I think they'll pretty much just deal with not 2.0 because it seems like the JS are kind of caught up in the House of Black stuff at the moment because Jericho's stealing their pops.
That was a one-off.
I think this was a one-off. I don't see them going after.
And they also, I mean, we'll talk about it more later, but they lost. So
yeah, there was the post-match stuff. So we'll discuss that in a bit because we're almost there anyway. So after the Acclaim's wonderful music video, we had a promo from the Outcasts, which is the new name for Saraya, Toni Storm, and Ruby Soho. And they're pissed. That's the best I got out of that. I mean, I literally didn't write down what they wrote. It was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular. The funniest part about it was Saraya with Toni Storm was doing her part of the promo. Just kept saying the end of every line of what Toni Storm was saying, like she was one of the backup rappers, but she was off by half a bar. So whatever. Eventually, they start calling out all the women they've taken out over the last few weeks. Sky Blue, Willow, Rio, and then they get to Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and your champion, Jamie Hayter. And right on cue, they come sprinting down to the ring, and they get in a fight, and Jamie and Britt have the upper hand for a second, but Britt takes too long to take her belt off, so the numbers game catch up to them, and they get beat down until Rio, Sky Blue, and Willow Nightingale come down for the save, and the Outsiders end up bailing out. Rio actually had some sort of weapon. I'm not sure what it was. Not even commentary knew what it was. But we're maybe starting to see the battle lines fully drawn here, James. And it's an interesting alliance between Jamie and Britt and Rio, Willow, and Sky Blue.
I would just like to immediately cut off James and say, how dare you throw to not only the women hater, but the foreigner hater first here? Who's just going to undermine this segment completely. But go ahead, James. Take the floor, buddy.
Straight, and I don't know if Chad 100% knows what's going on, so I wanted to go to James to set the table. But you do have a point.
Don't underestimate Chad's comprehension skills.
Why don't we go straight to Chad? I don't know.
Go to James.
How come this is twice now? You guys have thrown the Chad as he's halfway through a glug of Gatorade. James, speak.
It's a gimmick.
Fine. No, I liked it. I'm loving heel Ruby more and more.
She was great.
She is really coming into her own with this new evolution of her character. Saraya, I don't know if you guys know this, but this is her house. And Toni Storm, I got to give it to her. Toni impressed me tonight. I also, because I'm a child, I loved when she did the Dr. Britt Baker DMD. I thought that was great. I don't know why that pops me as much as it did. I'm surprised this is the first time we've seen somebody do something like that, but it made me giggle. I think the real blast for me tonight was the fact that I got Rio 2 weeks in a row. I can't remember the last time that happened on AEW. So we're getting a lot of Rio. I'm very happy about it. Willow Nightingale, always a pleasure. And I did complain a little bit about the pacing of Britt and Jamie coming out. It felt like they came out. It didn't make sense to me how easily they took out the three of them. And then once they had the upper hand, it was like, oh shit, we have the upper hand. We did too well with this. And then they decided to slow it down to make it believable that they could get dropped. But then it just looked awkward to me. I'm happy that how the segment played out. It's just the timing of it just felt like it was off a little bit.
It's because Britt was wearing the nice Gucci belt, and those are an absolute bitch to take off.
I'm sure. Maybe run out with it. Maybe don't take it off mid fight. Maybe. Just me. I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist.
She had to hold up her pants, though.
Yeah, you can't
Clearly
run without a belt to hold up your pants.
Clearly not. She took it off.
Yeah, and then immediately got beat up because her pants were falling down. She was struggling to keep them on.
So is she a fool for taking them off in the first place?
Yeah,
I mean,
you could argue that for
They
sure.
were in Canadian tuxedos, so you gotta wear a belt.
Absolutely. This man knows look, I work in the fashion industry, and everything Rev just said is true.
I think Chad does as well. You can back us up here, right, Chad?
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah. See, you're wrong, James. Chad, what did you think of all of this?
This is why I wanted to throw to Chad first.
I cannot tell a lie, guys. The Reverend was absolutely correct. I did not know what the fuck was going on. However, I enjoyed the segment. I don't know what's been happening, but it was fine.
JD, you're so wrong.
Basically, we're getting faction wars between the women that were brought in from WWE versus the original women like Jamie, like Britt, and like some of the younger people. Rio obviously being an original, and Willow and Sky Blue. So Ruby just turned. She was like neutral for a while, and then at the pay-per-view she turned heel and joined up with Toni Storm and Saraya.
Just watch her promo from last week.
Yeah,
I
watch
mean,
her
I
promo.
regret it.
I swear.
I mean, I love Ruby, so I'll definitely watch for sure. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was cool for me.
Yeah, and we all seem to be thinking that this is heading towards a blood and guts match. We'll see. They need more numbers on the outsider side, but it's been a very interesting feud to watch.
They need two people, specifically.
Still more numbers.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Oh, I know you're going. Yeah, no, I know where you're going with it.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
Is it Bella twins? Is that what you're?
the Bella twins, no, the Garcia
Those people,
twins.
yeah.
Who
Yeah.
I'm saying this, I don't want them there, but like it would be a big deal if they came.
It
Like
would.
I will not pretend it won't be. I don't want them there.
And
I
it
would-
they can. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
I would totally watch AEW presents Total Garcia, and if
And
I-
it's just
I
them and
wasn't
Daniel
totally-
Garcia. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Just
been
sitting there eating chips, not knowing what the fuck.
yeah, he's like, I don't really know you guys, but like, yeah, let's do the show. But
That's been the meme on Reddit since this has been announced, is that they're just going to join up with Daniel Garcia.
yeah, and then
I love it.
challenge the elite because they're superior siblings, and then we'll get some Garcia versus Omega action, which I'm sure some people out there want, but not Eric. But anyway, so look, I don't think any of you guys are giving this enough credit. Even though none of you really disparaged it, besides JD, who's just, is known for
Ripping
not
on
having the
Saraya.
best opinions, but amongst our chat, Saraya had a great line where she's like, "I'm a miracle," and that's a good play on it. Yeah, again, I hate to be that guy that's like, her career was over. And we're really taking that for granted really quickly. Like, holy shit. What's up, AEW? Welcome to the chat.
We'd like to welcome the official AEW account into the pod. Hello, welcome to the Market Down podcast.
Oh, what a big deal. But so that was a good line, but she didn't do a lot of the talking on this one. She let Ruby and Tony do most of it, which was good. And you can almost say similar to how Chad felt about Darby talking last in this. I'm sure people were feeling that way about Tony talking last in this trio, where the other two are known more for talking. But she held her own because, again, she didn't tell lies. She's like, you guys cheered. This girl cheated to beat me for that title, and you guys cheer. Where's the like I could
All right,
I could
Bobby
turn
Fish,
this into a
where's the
bit.
lie?
I can turn this into a bit. I don't know what to compare it to, but like how James likes to pretend the Jungle Boy's face like that's his bit. I can do that here where I'm like, how are the heels? In what way are they actually heels? Like Ruby didn't even cheat in the triple threat. She just fought some people after, whereas Jamie cheated to win her title. Tony is right in this. And that's,
I mean,
that's
I'd argue the spray painting on people makes them heels.
I don't think so.
If I've been taught anything by wrestling, throwing water in somebody's face is the most devastating thing you can do, and spray painting them is the ultimate sign of humiliation.
Not having their face shoved in your ass.
Yeah, I think maybe
some people join that willingly.
What about the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club?
William Regal, willingly.
Sure. And look at him now, still in the hospital after that MJF assault. But I thought this was really really good that they let Tony get some mic time. And when the faces came out, that's where it went downhill for me. Like, and not in like a bad way, just that it was like up here and then it went down just a little bit. Especially because like I would like more established, stronger, but this is like the first round. These are the people they're going to clearly beat. Whereas Jamie and Bergen be like, we need bigger backup, and that's when you bring back like Statlander and people like that. But yeah, I thought this was a really good segment. Again, though, like it could have been longer, and I think the timing thing that James was talking about wouldn't have been as much of an issue if they had more time, because that brawl would have lasted longer. Because it felt, once the music hit, it felt rushed from there on out. So like that's why I went off a cliff for me, because it just felt like, okay, the segment's over now, but we all have to hit these spots.
Yeah.
I wonder if they just ran out of time, perhaps, or they was cut. Not even ran out of time, but it was just like they shaved maybe a minute or two off because something else ran over, and if they let it breathe a bit more, the pacing would have been a little better.
Well, it's an AEW women's segment. They didn't have a lot of time in the first place.
Yeah, so maybe that's what happened. But you're right, Danny. They probably didn't have a whole lot of time in general, and then they probably had to cut it even shorter, and it just led to pacing issues. But I think overall it was a solid segment. We're continuing the storyline. We perhaps have some backup now for Britt and Jamie, and it's interesting. I'm like I said before when I was catching Chad up here, I am enjoying this feud and this storyline, so I'm excited to see where it goes next week. After this, like I mentioned before, we had the backstage promo with Cool Hand Ange and Daddy Magic. And then we had another quick one for Rampage as Ray Phoenix is answering Powerhouse Hobbs's open challenge for the TNT Championship. And finally, we come to the main event, which saw the House of Black face off against the Elite and the Jericho Appreciation Society for the AEW World Trios Championships. Now, before this match even started, it got a holy shit chant, and then a This Is Awesome chant pretty quickly thereafter, mostly because of the two hometown boys and Jericho and Kenny Omega. So the match started with some Brody King and JS shenanigans before both Jericho and Omega tagged themselves in, and they had a really cool stare down. It was really hyped. The crowd was super excited. And then the House of Black broke it up and ruined everything, and we went into commercial. Eventually, in the second segment of the match, because this was a 2-commercial match, we had a lot more back and forth between Omega and Jericho. It was really good. They didn't really get one up on each other too much. Like one would get one up and then the other one would come back and answer. So before there was obviously more interference, but that I really enjoyed that part of the match, the back and forth. Eventually, towards the end of the match, Brody King is up on the top rope, and both Jericho and Omega are trying to superplex him, but they're unable to do it on their own. So they team up and superplex him to the mat, and then Jericho gets in a sneaky code breaker, but Kenny is able to kick out. Then we suddenly cut to a picture-in-picture to backstage where we see Hangman Adam Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds fighting the BCC in the parking lot as Evil Uno was taken to the hospital and Stu Grayson went along with him. Kenny then got the knees up on a lion salt as we cut back, and then the Bucks came in and they took out the rest of the JAS, and they were going for one of the drivers, but Jericho countered Nick with it with a code breaker, and Sammy hit a shooting star press onto Matt Jackson, but Brody King was able to break it up. The House of Black then takes complete control. Brody hits cannonballs on both Guevara and Garcia in the corners, and then Guevara gets thrown into the corner by the House of Black to Jericho, where he is standing all alone. Jericho tags himself in and tries to go 3-on-1, but he obviously gets his shit handed to him and gets hit with a Dante's Inferno, but the pin is broken up by Kenny. Kenny is then thrown out of the ring by the House of Black, and Jericho is able to use the distraction to grab Floyd the Bat, where he hits Brody King in the head with it, and King is able to kick out. Sammy then hits another SSP, this time the outside, to take out the Elite. And meanwhile, inside the ring, Jericho and the legal man at this point, Daniel Garcia, are taken out by the House of Black. Garcia eats a Dante's Inferno and gets pinned, and the House of Black are able to retain. After the match, Jake Hager, for some reason, comes down to the ring, and he gets in the face of Brody King, seemingly trying to challenge him. And this sets off a brawl between the House of Black and the remaining standing members of the Jericho Appreciation Society. That spills out of the ring, and as that happens, onto the ramp comes the backstage brawl between the BCC, the Dark Order, and Hangman. So they're all fighting. Hangman, I believe, fights Yuta all the way down the ramp, while Silva and Reynolds are taken out up on the stage. This leads to a 3-1 situation in the ring, but then the Elite come in behind Hangman, and the BCC decide to back down. Hangman didn't see this. He seems very confused. He eventually starts to turn around, notices the Elite, and then they ran out of fucking time. And we didn't see his reaction, and it was the worst. But I'm hoping they put that up online somewhere, or somebody on like Fight TV has an extended version. I need to know what Hangman's reaction was. But James, I love everything about this. This match was phenomenal. Way too much for me to keep up on, but to write in terms of writing it down, but absolutely phenomenal. And then the segment after that tease we had on BTE, if you saw it with the picture, this storyline, it's so tantalizing. It's so tantalizing.
Wait, what does Chad think? He's drinking Gatorade.
I have wanted Elite reconciliation for so long, and it feels so right. The only thing that can make this better is if they also get Adam Cole back into it too. This was incredible. The match was a lot of fun. I was a little thrown off by it because Jericho was kind of working face a little bit, and like him. What? Oh no, I get why, but it's jarring out of nowhere kind of thing. Everybody played their part really well. But I don't care about the match at all. We knew House of Black was going to retain. We knew they wanted to get Jericho and Kenny in the main event in Winnipeg. But my God, that after match segment was just so good. I got a little worried mid-match when they cut to the back and you see the BCC facing Hangman, or fighting Hangman in the Dark Order. And in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, they just really don't care about the trios titles, like, at all. Like, they're just, like, trying to fit something into this match. They don't care. But then they come out, and I'm just, like, I'm Macaulay Culkin. I was just, like, the entire time. And I know a lot of people, myself included, sometimes really get upset with how AEW books their stories. Sometimes it doesn't feel like all their stories get all the attention they deserve, but so much of their long-term storytelling is where they thrive. And Hangman has sort of always been at the center of that. The Elite as well. I mean, you could argue maybe the Elite's been at the center of it with Hangman, but I've always felt that Hangman was the center of it all. And it was just such a great moment that I wish I could have seen play out a little bit better. I cannot wait for Dynamite next week. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be amazing. I am so excited. And
wait, forget Dynamite. I can't wait for BTE.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for BTE also. But
At least
I
we get
love
something to
BC.
hold us over on Monday.
Yeah, I am so ready for this story. I feel now that the Elite are gonna go away from the trios titles. I feel that the Jericho Appreciation Society is probably gonna go away from the trios titles. So I'm glad that this opens things up for the House of Black. I was really thrown by Jake Hager coming out. I don't.
See, this is where I disagree with you because I think Hager coming out means that this is going to be extended a little bit longer because I think we're going to get Hager versus Brody King.
I think so too. I think so too. But I don't think this is going to be a long story.
No, but I think this is their first feud after because I think the Elite are out of it now.
Yeah.
Right? They've lost twice. And Jericho can argue they didn't get a one-on-one matchup. They had to have this triple threat. We deserve another shot. And we'll see what happens because I don't know when it's going to be, but I think we get King versus Hager. So it'll come around. And so I think we get one more match and then it'll end. But we're definitely getting, I think, at least one more match out of this feud.
The thing is, if you have to replace Sammy then because Sammy is going to be going for the title.
I mean, but you could do it with Hager, Garcia, and Jericho.
Yeah, and you got Magic and Menard there too. I mean, it's not like they're
feuding with the Acclaimed.
True, but they can always just.
Which is where Jericho's going to come in. It's going to be Jericho and 2.0 versus the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, which are again those more trios. And I think all this did was set up more trios. You got BCC right there. I actually think this was a really great episode for establishing the trios division for the first time ever in the company's history. And again, shame that it's come at the expense of the tag division, but we got a lot of teams now in the mix all of a sudden, but I think people just have other things to do. I think Hager just got in there to brawl with Brody because a brawl needed to be happening for the other brawl to merge with this brawl. And that's all that was. I think you're reading too much into that, whereas that was a set piece to get to the more important set piece of having the Elite and the BCC and Hangman come together through one brawl. Whereas maybe we'll have a Brody versus Hager match to pay that off, but all that was set up for something more important. I don't think that was too much of a setup for the trios championships.
Well,
Chad?
It was chaotic. So I think everyone knows that I loved it as I am an agent of chaos. At first I kind of was, I don't know. I'm sorry, James. I'm a little done with the Elite. I kind of don't want to see them for a while again.
I mean, they bullied CM Punk and Cody Rhodes out of the company, so it's understandable.
Well, I was also going to say you kind of missed the whole part where they weren't around for a while. So,
oh well, I guess I should.
It was great. It was peaceful times.
Or maybe I just don't want them in this element at the moment. I think they've gone for the titles. They've had the titles. I think
they've ruined the titles. Yeah,
tarnished.
Yeah, tarnished. Yeah, better word. Absolutely.
So I think this segment of their life should be done. However, I can't deny how fucking great the match was. I mean, they did what they had to do. They made the winners who needed to win look very great and strong. The aftermath of the match was fantastic. We definitely could have had just 2 more minutes and everybody would have been fine. They could have
even 1 minute and I would have been happy.
Yeah, it's not like Power Slap was on. It got canceled.
45 seconds even. They honestly could. Tony Khan has more money than God. He could have paid someone to get those minutes in. But yeah, tired of the Elite, but great match. They're always going to put on a great match. Boom.
It wants an Omega versus Solo Sikoa match. That's interesting.
An Aaron Solo? No, I'm sure at some point he will go back. Oh, Kenny will go back for.
They're already teasing it. Yeah, they're already teasing it. But I one of the things to remember from a story perspective, when the trios titles were first being formed, the Bucks went to Hangman to be their partner, and Hangman turned them down, and he sided with the Dark Order.
As he should.
I think we're gonna get a Hung Bucks reunion. I think we could see the Hung Bucks potentially become a trio that goes for the trios title, and I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with that. It gives Hangman something to do, as much as I want the Bucks back in the regular tag division. And
I think the title scene needs Hangman more than the trios division needs Hangman right now, because he has to be one of those guys to. He is the next pay-per-view for sure. Like the Pillars Fatal 4-Way is going to be the best TV match maybe ever, but Hangman's the guy for the next pay-per-view. I think it has to be. So I don't know. Like this was interesting because we're overlooking the match. This match was fun as fuck. Everything about this was
really
so
was.
good. And the crowd helped too. Great job, Canada. You guys have some potential as a wrestling crowd. Might have to go there more often, see what happens, But
I mean, they got Forbidden Door too somehow. I doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, I don't know. You ever gone to Japan and taken a layover in Canada? Because I haven't, but I thought the match was really, really fun. I love House of Black. Them being the trios champions, it just feels so right. It makes so much sense. And this is not me taking digs at the Elite. I think the House of Black looks so fucking cool with those titles. And
I agree.
I think this is the biggest the titles have felt since their inception. Which now I will take jabs at the Elite. They've really tarnished those titles. Oh my god. Both times, honestly, they first of all, they didn't act like champions, and the night they freaking won them, busting down someone's door, attacking their dog, really bad stuff there. But then they get them back from a team that's been working hard to salvage their image. Freaking Death Triangle's working their ass off to salvage the already sinking ship that just left the dock of the Trios Championships, and they're like, "Oh, good job saving this. You guys were such a good life preserver, and now we're gonna pop that and let these titles freaking sink again."
Anyone else really glad AEW left the chat a while ago?
oh man, I wish they were still here. But
do we know that they left the chat?
I hope so.
God, no, what? Listen,
they did now.
Listen, AEW, just know that sometimes I'm doing a bit and sometimes I'm not, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not sure when I'm doing it, but the match was so good. I don't mind Jericho playing up to the crowd because it's like MJF in Long Island, like you gotta play up to, and Kenny the same thing. He's like, that was cool. I mean, a little self-aggrandizing, a little circle jerk moment for these two fucking egomaniacs, but other than that, because where else is Chris Jericho going to get a pop like that? And, where else is Kenny going to be universally cheered despite attacking a dog? But so good. And, despite the stuff I'm saying about it, I am interested in the story elements of Hangman and the Elite. But am I the only one who might resent Hangman a little bit for going back to the Elite and abandoning the Dark Order? Because,
well, we haven't seen that yet, but I was gonna say I do think that's the tricky part of this, where if he does go and hang out with the Elite again, specifically the Bucks, he can't abandon the Dark Order here, especially as they're having this war with.
Well, I guess Tony Khan will just fire the rest of them so that it's not an issue anymore.
I think the thing is, and I think what makes this story so good is the fact that Hangman never did join the Dark Order. He is their friend. And I could see, even if he rejoins the Elite, he rejoins the gang, the Bucks, Kenny, all that, he could still be and still would be their friend. And I think that's just such an interesting, fun dynamic, And I hope one of the most layered characters in wrestling continues to develop those layers.
Oh man, yeah. I love when I watch a movie about like a nerdy kid who gets a chance to be with the popular kids, and instead of realizing that his real friends were the friends that were there for him when he wasn't cool, he just goes to the cool kids and it's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna hang out with the cool kids, and I'm still gonna be friends with you nerds, and I've learned nothing, and the lesson is be friends with cool kids, and then your nerd friend should be happy for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
we get it.
And I get it, because you I work in the fashion industry, so I can speak on, Britt Baker and her belt situation, which, by the way, Gucci is a shitty brand. Don't listen to rap songs. They're lying to you. But I'm not going to say what brand I work for because I don't want to give them publicity either, honestly. But, James works in the movie industry or the TV, and he works with cameras. And, so you are more of an authority on that. But, that being said, Hangman is like, when you said he's one of the most developed characters, he is. Like, that is an absolute truth that I will make fun of him for a lot of reasons, but it will never be for his character development.
Yeah.
I'm trying to place one of the movies you described, and I'm pretty sure it's the plot to Grease, but
I don't know. It could be Mean Girls. It could be the new guy.
There's a lot, but yeah, I don't know why Grease popped into my head first.
Because it's Grease.
Yeah, it's fair. It's the word.
Electrifying.
On Broadway, though, not the movie.
On Broadway, though.
I think I have the movie on VHS lying around. So
I was in Greece in high school.
Good for you, Machine.
Of course you were. Were you Danny Zuko?
I wasn't Danny Zuko. I didn't have the voice for it. I played the main man, Vince Fontaine. I was the DJ, the radio host guy.
Yep, that's fine.
That makes sense. Big announcer voice. All right. So that was Dynamite. I liked it. I thought this was a really, really good show, top to bottom. There wasn't really too much fluff or bad. James, I don't really have anything to complain about here.
This was a strong episode of Dynamite. I enjoyed it from a wrestling standpoint. I enjoyed it from a storyline standpoint, and I hope we get more. I hope. I know every week can't be this strong. I know every week it's going to fluctuate. I'm sure, considering how much I love this episode, the ratings are going to be terrible. But I loved it. I for the first time in a long time, I can say I finished the episode and immediately can't wait for next week. I am ready for next week. I can't remember the last time I turned off Dynamite and I thought, man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what happens next.
Well,
and
I feel like that
I
feel like that every week because I know after Dynamite I get to see all you guys and that's always fantastic. But you don't feel like that, and that's fine. Like, that's okay.
From a Dynamite standpoint, I don't feel that way. I treasure these times together.
I do think, though, Danny, that this was 2 strong weeks in a row now for Dynamite following the last pay-per-view. So, and like James said, because of that cliffhanger, it was a very because I just feel like they don't use cliffhangers like this that much in AEW. It was a fairly WWE-esque cliffhanger.
It was. I think, yeah, that's a fair way of putting it. Look, I don't know how I actually feel about the show. I just know that the opening segment was one of the best things I've ever seen, and I was riding the high for the rest of the show. So,
between
to be honest,
Orange Cassidy and a new Acclaimed music video, you should rate this an A+.
Yeah,
it's true.
Everything on this show is just really, really good, and yeah, I think this was one of the best Dynamites of the year. And I know it's only March; it's like the Ides of March and shit, so there's still plenty of time left in the year, but. Yeah, this is all fun. That's the thing. This opening segment was so good that it's on a curve where it's the show's probably like a 90, but that opening segment was so good that it's like 103. And
Chad, as you're coming back into the fold now and you're starting to catch up here on Dynamite, what were your impressions?
First of all, I definitely thought it would be mid tonight. I thought it would be just regular, but it was phenomenal. It was great to come back to this episode. As Danny said, the opening segment kind of sold it for me. Then Orange Cassidy played it up even more. It was a great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's good to be back.
And we're glad to have you back. Yeah, I like I said before, I love this top to bottom. I literally I would say I have no notes, but I have fucking a billion bullet points of them. So I have no complaints. Hopefully we see some people next week that we didn't see this week, but I'm okay when sometimes people get left off of things, let things breathe, and they come back next week. It's nice to not know who's going to be on the card every week sometimes. So I didn't
Agreed.
mind that as much. So anyway, I want to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe. We are here every Wednesday after Dynamite to review the show. James will be live tomorrow night for the Gym Pact of Honor working title episode where he will review both Ring of Honor and Impact. Is it Gym Pact? It's Gym Pact of Honor. Excuse me, James. Danny's here on Mondays for the Raw Fast Forwards. We will see what Chad decides to do with NXT now that he's back. And obviously, we will have our episodes coming out every week, usually on Thursdays. So be sure to subscribe, to catch all of that stuff. If you're on YouTube and you want to follow us on social media, you can click all the links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram and TikTok. Well, obviously YouTube. You're on YouTube probably. So yeah, be sure to follow us on all that stuff. The Instagram is phenomenal. It's Danny's pretty much Danny's account. He does a great job over there with the memes. So be sure to check that out as well. So for Danny Hernandez, Chad Big Bad Johnson, and James DeSanti, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Have a good night, everyone.